Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Dr. J Does Stuff, How to Pass Your DOT Medical Exam. And today's episode, we're going to talk about neuropathy. Neuropathy is a very difficult and debilitating condition, and it affects a lot of drivers. You know, when you sit for long periods of time, for years after years after years, especially, you end up with some poor circulation. If you have diabetes on top of all that, this definitely tends to complicate it because you have poor circulation in the extremities, and blood circulation is everything. It's the entire game. Your blood brings oxygen to tissues, and tissues need oxygen to be able to heal and to be able to grow or stay alive. We're going to talk about what the FMCSA says about neuropathy, who can pass, who can't pass, but let's first just quick, easy demonstration. I've been a national regenerative medicine trainer, and you talk about these things, especially neuropathy, explain to the clinics. We also explain to patients that the nerves in your hands and feet, and it's probably way more, 80-90% it's feet as opposed to hands, but it can be either one. Electrical wire. Right, we all know what an electrical wire is, and in this particular example, the copper inside is the nerve, and the insulation on the outside in your body is a fatty tissue called myelin. And myelin acts to protect the nerve, but it also helps in the conduction of the nerve, because you'll end up where you've got two nerves that come together and they actually don't touch. This little part right here where the gap is called a synapse. So the nerve impulse comes down, the electricity, it jumps over that gap, it's called a synapse, and then it jumps over the insulation. But when you have poor circulation, the insulation starts to be affected. And the insulation, in this example, you can see we still have nerve, we still have insulation, but the insulation is cracked or broken, or in some cases completely separated. When that happens, that's when you start to get neuropathy symptoms. So just like the rest of your body, you can have nerve endings for cold and hot and pressure, and tell you about position sense. Those are called proprioceptive nerve endings, and so much more. So people would come in and they'd say, it feels like I'm walking on glass. Look around and say, well, there's clearly no glass, so why are your feet lying to you? People kind of look and they say, well, think about it. You're not walking on hot coals. You're not walking on glass. But your brain is telling you you are, and it hurts. I mean, those nerve endings are firing, and that's because of the break in that myelin, that covering around the nerve. Due to poor circulation, you're not getting enough oxygen and blood flow. Your body has the ability to repair that. And in the world of regenerative medicine that I used to teach, there's all kinds of things you can do to help rebuild that, but it's unfortunately expensive, and a lot of people can't afford to do it. But your body does have a natural regenerative, capability. So here's a gross example. I have a cut on my arm, and the platelets come to the area, they get sticky, and then new skin grows, scab falls off. You just grew new skin. That's regenerative. Your body has that capability. Well, so if my body has this amazing regenerative, reparative capability, then why isn't it fixing this? Why isn't it fixing the covering around the nerves? Well, the problem is that your regenerative capability is slow. Let's say, just use an example, it goes 20 miles an hour. The condition is going 30 miles an hour. So your body is attempting to repair you. It never stops doing that. But the condition's going faster than the repair process can happen. So it's outrunning you. The different sensations that you have, like the patient that says, well, it feels like I'm walking on glass, and you look around, there's no glass. I say, okay, well, go ahead and wiggle your toes. We're going to send a signal from your brain down your spinal cord out and muscle action. Go ahead and move your toes. And they'd wiggle their toes. And I'd say, okay, that pathway, top to bottom, isn't the problem. The problem is the coming back. So it's the call and answer, if you will, like a echo in a canyon. Your body sends out a signal, your brain sends out a signal to do something, and then information is reporting back about the movement, how fast did the movement go. Think about a baseball player or pitcher. He winds up, right, and the brain says throw the ball, but then the brain has to know, okay, break, to otherwise every time you throw a ball, you slap yourself in the face, right? So there's a call and an answer to the nerves. The problem is that the answer coming back is wrong, and it's lying to you. It's telling you you're walking on glass. It's telling you you're walking on hot coals, or whatever the case may be, and that's clearly not the case. And so the FMCSA is quite concerned about something like this when a driver has a neuropathy, especially in their feet. You've got to be able to feel the pedals. Like a lot of times people with neuropathy might say, my feet feel numb, like I don't feel the carpet, I don't feel, well, if you can't feel the pedal, especially the brake pedal, you shouldn't be driving, right? That's pretty important. I think we can all agree to that. But there is one presentation of neuropathy that the FMCSA will allow, and that's called a hot-cold deficit. It's the only one that's allowed, which means that if I took a match and put it under your foot, you couldn't feel that, because the nerve endings that are for pain, for the heat, they're not working. Or if I took an ice cube and put it up under your foot, you couldn't feel that cold. Neither of those have anything to do with feeling the pedal. Those people can feel the pedal and know how to apply the right amount of pressure in order to drive a truck safely. So the only version that is allowed by the FMCSA in neuropathy is called a hot-cold deficit. If you have a deficit where you can't feel the pedal, and then unfortunately that's a disqualification. So nobody ever explains this. I've explained this over and over and over the last 10, 11 years. And people have said to me, well, why isn't this information available? Like, how come this is the first time I'm hearing this? So this is why we're doing this video series, is to explain it so that you know. And we hope that you support the channel, share it with other people. If you're a driver especially, help get the information out. Help us continue to be able to make this kind of good, honest content about the FMCSA rules, because it's very much a black box kind of a situation, and it's your life, it's your job. You should know what these rules are. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and smash that bell for future notifications, and help support us so we can continue to make this great content for you. Let's keep our truckers on the road safely, and everybody be safe out there.